Welcome to Comics Experiment, the show where I sit with Andy and Dan, and I sit with Andy and Tiny Dan. It's normal Dan, but smaller.
Hold me closer,
Hello.
Tiny Dan.
This is Dan with his Harley Quinn voice, apparently.
That's Tiny Dan.
Oh my gosh, my voice is.
What is
What's
happening?
going on? Okay,
this is the show where me, Dan, and Andy sit around and talk about something related to the world of comic books, from tier lists to lists we find on the internet to interesting aspects of the world of comics, whatever we really want to talk about. And Andy always cracks the joke that he's going to perform an experiment on comic books. Have you tried the bullet one yet?
No. Well, I did, but I'm not legally supposed to talk about it. Still, litigation. It's a whole thing.
This show airs every Thursday at our podcast channel on Twitch, twitch.tv/Comicstorian. The Comicstorian Podcast Network is then uploaded to Spotify, YouTube, and all kinds of sources. And you can also support it directly by going to patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you can get early access and unedited versions of this podcast. You can also go to G Fuel and get 10% off your order if you use the code COMICS. And
you can go to Honey, where you can go to joinhoney.com/experiment to get honey for free. And we'll tell you more about that in the middle of today's episode.
all right, so last week we did the DCEU tier list, and
Yes,
the video
we did.
did horrible on the channel. Yeah. But you know what we like to do here at Comicstorian? If something does horrible, we double down. Maybe it'll do better.
That's that's actually my nickname. Double down.
Double down.
Double down. Yeah.
Why
double down, Potter?
Why pivot our content to something that may do better when we can do more of that content we already made?
Did it actually not do well?
No, I mean, YouTube in general has been screwing us over, so it did as well as everything else at the moment.
Thanks, TubeU.
It's the weirdest thing ever. YouTube's new algorithm is the more you watch of a video, the more it'll be recommended to you. Makes sense, right?
The same video, but I've already watched it. Why would I watch it
No.
again?
So the problem is YouTube will, and I don't know why they don't fix this, because it sounds, at least in my head, it sounds like an easy fix. If you watch our 2-hour video for Injustice and you watch an hour and a half of it, it goes, okay, Andy's willing to watch an hour and a half of a video on Comicstorian. Then we put out a video that's 20 minutes long and you watch 10 minutes of it. It goes, well, you only watched 10 minutes instead of an hour and a half. So that means that you didn't like this other video. So we're not going to recommend videos that are 20 minutes long.
I see.
Yes. And the podcast falls in that weird middle ground.
Sure. Yeah.
But
So-
we enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Oh, we have a blast.
I'm drunk.
Plus, we have sponsors. Joinhoney.com/experiment and G Fuel.
Well,
Code
which
Comics.
actually is a fun segue to let you know that if you want to keep these shows going and you want to keep us around, then you might want to suggest go to Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian.
No, you're being weird. Don't do that. No.
Patreon.com/Comicstorian. $2.
I was stumbling. I was trying to save it. Didn't work.
That was not. That was saving it.
That was.
Good Lord.
Please never let Benny save me if that's his definition of saving
I know,
something.
I'm going to save you, Dan. Or am I?
You're stuck at the bottom of the stairs. Maybe if I throw this chair at you, it'll help.
No, he's bleeding now though.
You ever hear about digging the hole deeper?
Yeah, you gotta dig up.
Oh, I
There's
should
the problem. You gotta dig up.
That's why I keep dying in Minecraft. Anyway, so we had some rules with this one. We pulled up a full MCU list, and it has all the TV shows. And we thought that'd be fun, but then we realized that would be another episode. Because when you actually look at every single season of a TV show and how it works chronologically in the order of the MCU, according to Digital Spy, it's 72 things. Which Dan loves.
If
You
we,
love
wrote,
72
if we
things?
wrote all of that, I would probably pass out from the fumes of this.
Sure.
Ooh. I was going to make a joke about him
Ooh.
sniffing the pen, but we probably shouldn't do that on a family-friendly
No.
show.
No.
All right, so today we're going to do only the movies of the MCU.
Yes.
Next week will be the shows, or a different idea, and then we'll come back to the shows. But actually, no, shows would make more sense today. We're doing the shows, Dan, even though you prepped the movies.
Sucks to be you.
No, the WandaVision's coming out. Makes sense to do the shows, so we're doing the shows today.
We got our thing. MCU. Good. Meh. Trash.
Wouldn't it make more
rank
sense to do the shows after we get to watch the first 2 episodes of WandaVision?
This is why you're the creative director of Comicstorian.
I was gonna say that way we can kind of like talk about what we felt about it, but let's also look at the other shows too.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea.
Thank
I like
you.
that a
I
lot.
am a
I kind of
genius.
wanted to watch the first 3 episodes before everyone else. It would have made me feel special, but whatever.
What?
I don't even know what he's doing.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You okay there?
There were a bunch of review people that got to watch the first
Oh,
3
yeah,
episodes
yeah,
early,
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh, why didn't we get that?
We never get that. We've
I know.
never gotten that.
I'm aware. That's why I'm complaining that we never get it.
It's actually been really weird because we get Spider-Man stuff. We get to go to all.
Yeah, I went to freaking London.
But we still don't get early access to the movies. We don't.
Or the shows.
You know what? Actually, it's funny because DC actually hit me up and said, "Do you want to see Wonder Woman early?" And I said yes. And they said, "Cool, we'll get it worked out. We'll get it all done for you." And I never heard back from them, and the movie came out.
Well, they didn't know exactly when it was going to come out. Is the problem?
All right, so Andy,
Yes.
the first movie, they've got this flagged up as the Infinity Saga.
Don't worry, I have them all in order.
So if you guys want clarification, we're going to be doing the tier list of the MCU Infinity Saga.
How many A's are in that word?
There's like 4 A's.
S-A-A-A-G.
And Dan's list is the good, the meh, and the trash. Because we didn't have...
It's a corkboard monster.
Yeah, it's trash instead of bad from last time because I only got 3 of each letter, and yeah.
That is officially the
These
fifth time Dan has explained
zeros.
that.
These are zeros, not
And
O's.
now it's on record.
Yes.
It was on record last week.
Well, no, it's fully recorded now.
It was on last week.
Yeah,
when
but
he-
that wasn't during the recording.
By the way, the reason why it says good, bad, and trash.
I'm going to stab you with one of these.
All right, Andy, Iron Man.
Inconvenience.
The original Iron Man.
Yes.
Where would you put it?
Meh.
The original?
No, I'm see.
I was like, the original I think is really good.
I'm just joking. No, I would say, I mean, the original Iron Man, I would say good. At this point, like, if you look at the original compared to, like, you know, Infinity War and how they got, it is very much...
It's dated.
It's very dated in terms of it's very much the MCU formula that they stuck with for a very long time and still are pretty much stuck with.
Yes.
The
hard to
the
get a hold on
fights
this.
are kind of like, okay, cool. I mean, there's some awesome moments where he first flies into, like, where is it? Middle Eastern stand.
Middle Eastern, generic Middle
Yeah,
Eastern
yeah.
village for sake of movie.
And, like, shoots all the guys and then blows up the
Right.
tank and stuff. Awesome scene where he's getting chased by the jets. Awesome scene. But, like, the final fight is kind of at best.
I would put, if I were to compare it with all the others, I would put it in the meh, just based on the, like, how amazing some of the other
Sure,
ones
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah.
However, I would put it closer to the good because of, like, the standard and
Exactly.
like how
it
great
set
it
the
was.
standard for the MCU.
I will say, if
It's
you're
still a very good movie.
Plus,
in my
based
opinion.
on last time and the number of movies, I've got to, like, downplay
Sure,
some of
yeah,
them.
yeah, I
Because
get it.
last time we were going way up here.
so I will say I would put this much higher only because it did set the standard. But if you, it's a rough one because if you gauge it back then, it was like this is the greatest
Yes.
superhero
I was
movie.
gonna say, seeing this coming out of like
X-Men.
Ghost Rider, you're like, oh, okay,
No,
somebody
no.
got
Ghost
one
Rider is
right.
Ghost Rider's amazing.
Ghost Rider's amazing. Ghost Rider's amazing.
Somebody got one right, you know. But yeah. I would say it's a good movie.
Yeah.
There's no arguing that point. It's a good
All right,
movie.
next up is the Incredible Hulk.
I actually really enjoyed this movie.
This
The
this
Edward
one is
Norton
the
one?
This is the Edward Norton one, not the James Wan or was James Woo, the guy that the
John Woo.
John Woo one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy he did. Where they was like Hulk
Terrible
dogs.
idea. I don't know why I just
Hulk
put
Poodle.
that on my lap and then tried to
I don't
stab
know.
it
That's
through.
a terrible
with
idea.
the-
He-
All
he-
right, you hold it. I'll do it. now.
For everyone who can't see below the table, Dan just literally put the thing on his crotch region, then took the thumbtack, stabbed it through the paper
went through.
into his crotch region.
Luckily, I missed.
Luckily, he's wearing padded jeans. So
Do you guys not wear your anti-thumbnail leggings each day?
anyway,
Long John?
I very much enjoyed the Incredible Hulk movie.
I actually thought it was pretty solid.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Compared to some of the other ones, it wasn't the best.
No, yeah.
I think it's kind of right where Iron Man is actually. I think it was a
Yeah.
great idea, great stuff. It
little
doesn't
lower.
it doesn't date well.
No.
I'm putting it a little lower because it was Edward Norton and not Mark Ruffalo who became the actual Hulk, and I preferred him as the Hulk.
Why did we give Dan
Ruffalo
final
or,
say in where
or
these go?
Norton?
Because I
Wait.
made the board.
You prefer Ruffalo or Norton?
Ruffalo.
Okay.
I think Ruffalo's was a really good pick for that.
I think
and-
Ruffalo works well in a team movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would watch a Ruffalo-centric
actually,
Hulk movie.
I'll agree with that.
I agree with you only because they've never given him a chance to give it
That
a
is
shot.
true. I've never
That's
seen
fair.
it. So, yeah. I think he
The
works
problem-
really good as
only-
in the team dynamic.
The only solo really way we've seen him as Professor Hulk, and none of us really like that.
Well, no, it's so.
No, I mean like
in a
like
movie.
only Mark Ruffalo.
No, I
in the
know,
movie,
but
yeah.
I'm talking like the only time we've ever really gotten Mark Ruffalo like by himself doing things.
Yeah, I see.
was
Okay,
Professor
yeah.
Hulk. I
It's
feel
not
like
exactly at
previously-
all what we're talking about. We're talking about him as in a movie.
I-
Having 10 minutes in
Let's
a
move
movie
past this.
is not a movie.
Let's
Dan.
move past this.
What I'm going to say,
I'm
though,
gonna
is...
stab everybody with the thumbtack if we don't move past this.
What I'm going to say, though, is one thing I've realized with Mark Ruffalo, I can't think of a movie where he's ever been like not MCU, a star in general. The only other movie that I
He,
really...
he did a lot of like romantic comedy.
Yeah, and I remember him in those, which is more of an ensemble kind of
Yeah,
cast.
yeah.
And I've seen him in... I remember him in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where the star was Jim Carrey, and he was in that
Those
cast.
aren't MCU movies, Benny. We're talking about MCU movies right now.
I'm saying to what Andy
I'm gonna start
said
stabbing everybody.
is basically what I'm saying is I've never seen him be the leading man in any movie.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
mind a Hulk movie. Which brings us to Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2.
Yes. This movie gave us Scarlet Witch. Not Scarlet Witch, I'm sorry. Black Widow. They both have red hair.
For a second, I was like, "Yeah, what movie did I watch?"
You didn't see her. She was just floating in the background.
In the full outfit.
In the full outfit. Very
Oh my
strange.
gosh.
Didn't make any sense of the timeline.
Oh, okay.
she was
this
like
movie
doing
is Black
manipulation stuff.
War Machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's his name? Hammer there. What's his first
Army
name?
Hammer?
Army Hammer. No, not that guy.
That would have been funny.
What's his first name?
I can't remember, but the bad
The
gun
bad guy.
dealer.
Yeah. Something Hammer.
And then we got Whiplash.
Justin.
Is it
Justin Hammer.
Is it? Okay.
guessing.
Whiplash. Yeah. I thought this was really good. I think
Whiplash's parrot.
I think he's bird.
Bored.
The only problem I have with
bird.
this one is every time we think of Iron Man 2, we think of the one scene where he's got a briefcase suit and he's in like a Daytona 500
Yes.
car.
You
and
could-
and
that-
Whiplash is
this-
You might
This
even call
movie
it
was
his
more-
suitcase.
This movie was more comic book than the first movie.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. I honestly think...
I think the ending fight was far superior with
Yes.
all of the actual fight with Whiplash was meh, but
Yeah.
like all of the suits chasing.
Wasn't this the one where he had whatever the other guy named, he had the suit? No, or is that
War
in
Machine?
No, there's the evil suit basically.
yeah, Whiplash. He has his own big Iron Man suit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Every Iron Man movie, somebody has a big Iron Man
Yeah,
suit.
the first one was
Except
the
for
bald
third one.
guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
yeah.
of. But I was like, no, that's
Ironhide.
the first movie, the bald guy getting his.
Something like that. Ironsides, Ironhide, something
Iron
like
Dude.
that. Iron Guy.
I think so.
I want someone to show me like, I'm Iron Guy, that's Iron Dude.
But Whiplash,
This is Iron Bro.
Whiplash shows up at the end with his own suit, and it's like a 30-second fight where they
Yeah.
basically beat the crap out of him, and then he
Yeah.
blows up. But I would say this is superior to Iron Man 1, in my opinion.
Yes.
Okay,
I
that,
put
I,
it
that
here.
this is my peak Iron Man-ness,
Yes.
which brings us to Thor 1, which, other than a few good jokes, I don't even remember the plot to.
Okay, so what happens in Thor 1
Thor shows up.
is...
So there's Thor 1.
All I remember is another!
Thor takes
That's all you need
the
to know.
Warriors 3 and Loki over to Jotunheim because he's tricked by Loki to
As you do.
basically start a war between the Frost Giants and Odin. He shows back up. Odin's pissed. Thor's kind of a spoiled brat. Odin sends Thor to Earth, loses all his powers, falls in love with Jane Foster over a long weekend.
As
I
you
do.
do.
It's Natalie Portman who wouldn't. That's
Fair.
Wait, isn't that just the plot to Wonder Woman? A long
Let,
weekend with Steve Trevor?
let me finish. Then Steve Trevor. No, I'm just kidding. He learns the lesson of humility in a long weekend, gains all his powers back,
Does it go somewhere? Like,
and then goes back to Asgard, fights Loki, breaks the bridge.
yeah, still kind of forgettable.
And then-
I actually want to put
well,
it
and
right
then,
below Matt.
It's pretty meh, honestly.
Destroyer also comes to Earth, and that's when he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can actually use my hammer again.
Yeah. Overall, I would say
put it
it's
down.
not a bad
yours?
movie.
I'd go.
It is very much a origin movie.
Yes.
I think this is the first time that we were like, all right,
Yeah.
MCU can have MCU.
Well, they were like, we got
The
to enter.
MCO. Yeah.
We got to the Marvel Cinematic Omniverse.
Don't put the idea in their head.
Kevin, call me. Feige, just so we're clear, not our Kevin.
not our editor, Kevin.
Not our editor, Kevin. I would say it is a very meh movie, and it's kind of like they were like, oh, we got Avengers coming out. We need to make sure everybody knows who Thor is.
It's actually funny. I didn't realize how many there wasn't actually that many introduction movies before Avengers. Because Black Widow got introduced in Iron Man 2, so that was their introduction
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
Hawkeye got introduced in Thor.
Yep.
Right?
Remember?
Yeah.
Because
But they don't call him Hawkeye.
Yeah.
They call him Hawk Guy.
No, they don't call him. I think
They're
they
like
say
bow
Clint
guy.
once.
I think they say
Yeah.
Barton actually.
It may be Barton.
like
It's something
that.
like that.
Barton.
And then he goes to get like a rifle, and he's like, "No."
Because that'll work against this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Captain America 1.
I really enjoyed Captain America 1.
I think Captain America 1's great. It's also very standalone. They weren't trying to set anything up until the very ending.
I completely disagree with that. There's Shield. There's
no,
It's
what I'm
literally
saying
called
is-
the first Avenger.
It's called the first Avenger.
Right. They were giving
They introduced the first Infinity Stone, even though we didn't know it was going to be an Infinity Stone.
What
yet.
I'm saying is, like, this one felt standalone, and
Okay.
with the intention of like Shield's gonna come back, and this is
Right.
gonna come back.
Okay.
Nothing was like it didn't turn into what a lot of these turn into later, where it was just a lot of introductions of other things.
That is
in
true.
general.
Yeah, they did get very
Okay.
much like we got to introduce the next 3 movies in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go. And then Sony took the worst lesson and said introduce other movies. So
That's
Amazing
what I heard.
Spider-Man 2 is gonna be
Our movie is an introduction of movies.
Exactly.
and then
with a
DC
little bit
and
of
then
plot.
DC was like,
Just a little.
why introduce anything?
Justice League, go.
Everyone took
I
the
would
wrong-
put Captain America in good. Honestly, I thought it was
Good?
really good. I enjoyed it.
Like higher than Iron Man 2 or lower?
I'd put it up higher than Iron Man
I'd
2.
put it higher than Iron Man
Like
2.
yours?
My wife will kill me because Iron Man is her favorite, but
it right
I would say
here.
Captain America is above
I'm gonna
it.
put it here because of the fact that I know we're gonna rate some of these a little higher.
Yeah,
I feel like Sony has the Ubisoft mentality of like they learned the lesson, but they learned the wrong
lesson
about everyone
and they
else's
double
stuff.
down on it hard.
Amazing Spider-Man 1 introduced a bunch of stuff, but 2 can introduce like a whole bunch of things. That'd be great.
It's gonna be awesome.
They're like, what didn't we introduce? Okay, introduce it.
Add that in there. Okay, there's 7 possible villains. And we're
But it's the Sinister
introducing
Six,
them
sir.
all.
Yeah, but we got to be able to pick from them.
Yeah. What if we want a standalone villain movie? We don't know.
Avengers 1.
Yes, I would put that in good.
I will
Wait,
put it in
hold on.
good, but I would definitely put it below Captain America and Iron Man.
like
And the cool thing about Avengers, in my opinion, was the first time we ever got something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved that. And they did a good job of introducing every character in
Mm-hmm.
other movies. I liked that. The biggest issue I've always had with Avengers 1 is, yes, the villain is Loki, but it's standard Loki's manipulating things.
Right,
we
right,
don't
right.
have like the big superhero battle that became standard after that.
they fought all the Chitauri in the city.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was like a 20-minute fight.
yeah, but that was cool. But where was the big fight?
Hulk punched a giant space snake.
right, but when
Leo?
Hulk shot a guy that exploded without looking.
when Hulk
Hulk
goes to
punched
fight Loki,
Thor after they all
He
fought him.
smashed Loki back and
Hilarious.
forth. That was like one of the most iconic things.
yeah, well, that's just it. When he finally goes to fight Loki, he just slams him back and forth.
Yeah.
Puny god.
Yeah.
I think the only problem I have with Avengers, which is also what makes it do so well, as a comic book fan, it was very tropey. It was
Yeah.
very much, oh, we don't like each other. Oh, we're disbanding. Oh, we have to have a fight. Oh, there's the big villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, but what makes it so amazing, and it is very dated at this point because I've done this a dozen times now.
Sure.
We've never seen that on screen.
Right.
We
At
never
the time,
saw 5 movies setting up this
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing. So dated wise, you can look back at it now and be like, I could see the problems and the tropes, but when that came out, and to this day, I still say it's probably the best, in my opinion. Not the best because I got Captain America up there, but definitely better, one of the best superhero movies ever. But you have to look at it for the time it came out.
Yeah.
Because it
And
was
for, like,
so unique and new.
Exactly, like for what it was in the film industry as a whole, not even just the movie
Yeah,
itself.
yeah.
Like, yeah, what you're
My
saying,
biggest
man.
problem with Avengers #1 is Captain America's costume. I think it looks god awful.
I can't remember what it looks like.
Because
been so
it's like
long.
the full because in the other movies and in the first movie he has basically a helmet.
Oh, it's like the rugby helmet thing.
but it's like in this one it's like the full on. It just
Right.
doesn't look right.
It looked like they tried to do the wings.
It looked like they
But
tried
they
to
just-
make
yes.
they tried to make like all of his other costumes are essentially like a militarized version of his actual comic book costume. That movie tried to make his comic book costume, and it don't look right.
Yeah.
It looks weird.
yeah.
Yeah. That's my biggest issue with that movie.
Which then brings us to Iron Man 3.
Not a huge fan, honestly.
I'd put it down with Thor 1
Yeah,
also.
honestly, I was not a big fan of Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 had the problem that I feel...
I'm going to put it a wee bit lower just because of the fact that Thor 1 by itself was introducing something that we didn't know. Iron Man 3 was, you had 2 great movies. How...
Yeah, I feel like it was very meandery.
It was all about him dealing with PTSD, which isn't terrible, but it just felt like a follow-up to Avengers, which I think was the intention. But it's the same problem I have with Spider-Man Far From Home, and we'll get to that when we get there.
Yes, we will.
But instead of it being a standalone Iron Man movie, it was all about his reactions to Avengers. And then half the movie, he doesn't have it. It also resolves Iron Man. He pulls out the cord and you're like, all right, Iron Man's done. Oh, what do you mean he's going to be around for the next 9 years?
Right.
And he blew up all his suits, except for those other ones he had.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the way they...
He's like, I keep this one in a fanny pack.
The problem...
And it turns it's like, haha, it's even got a fanny pack.
The problem I have with Iron Man 3 is you can pull it out of the MCU and it feels more cohesive without it.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like, okay, that was Robert Downey Jr.'s swan song. He made the Avengers, he ended, and he was gone.
Yeah.
And then he was around for so much longer.
Yeah.
Didn't he just... They never even explained it. It's just, he still had like the core for the most part, didn't he?
Generally, yeah.
He like
There's something
changed
glowing
it or
there.
something. Like he created a new metal or something.
Yeah, it was...
I don't even remember.
I don't like what they did with 3. I
Was
felt...
that in 3 or was that in 2?
That's in 2.
That was in 2.
They come up with a new element.
Yeah.
That powers his heart.
But I just feel
love.
like 3 was made...
Love.
3 was almost made with the idea of like, well, we gotta make another Iron
It's-
Man.
Yeah.
They've been making money.
Iron Man would have worked. Iron Man 3 would have worked better if it was Robert Downey Jr.'s last movie.
Yeah.
Like if that was it.
Because they ended with like the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's on the surgery table.
But then
he's
Lord
pulling-
knows what would have happened with Infinity War.
Would have been Captain America snapping his fingers. I mean,
That was just Captain America beating the crap out of Thanos. I figured out how to stop him. You hit him really hard in the face.
and Thor's like, I see you,
Oh,
brother.
I get it. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Everyone in the Avengers just starts kicking him on the ground.
Stomping him.
Avengers, curb stomp this guy.
And then Captain Marvel just plows into him from space.
Which brings
Guys,
us to
I figured it out.
Which brings us to another really lackluster, to the point where I didn't actually watch this movie until like 2017.
yes.
Thor: Dark World.
Overall, I actually don't dislike this movie as much as everybody seems to.
I
It was a
did not
very
see
like
it, so I
grim
can't-
version of Thor.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't hit their stride with Thor 3 yet.
I don't think that Thor: Dark World was terrible.
No.
But there was nothing about it, because when this movie came out, it was 2013. We weren't even doing Comicstorian at the time, like to the level we are now. So when it dropped, it was like, I don't even care.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like it was that kind of an attitude. So I didn't get to that till many years later when this became more of our job.
Yeah.
I enjoyed 2 just because I enjoy the Thor like cosmic mythology, the blending of space and fantasy they do, and in that aspect I liked it. But yeah, overall it's pretty forgettable. Honestly,
I wouldn't say trash, but we're going below Iron Man. We're going.
I would put it higher than Iron Man 3.
Oh no, I dropped it.
high. Okay, so
I
we're
would
gonna
put
put
it
it
high-
lower than Thor 1.
I would
then,
put it-
but Iron Man 3's
No,
gonna be
I'd put it higher than Thor 1 too. Honestly, in my opinion.
Thor 1.
Yeah,
Higher?
yeah. In terms
You
of
know what? I'll
like,
give you
in
that 'cause
terms
the
of like
mythology
the
was good,
action
yeah.
and things like that.
I at least
yeah,
remember what happened in Thor 2.
Yeah, yeah.
However, do you want to know what Thor did on the Rainbow Bridge? He opened up portals using the Bifrost.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that is designed to save you money. Honey automatically scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best ones that it finds to your cart to save you money. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online, ranging from tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. Honey has helped 17 million members save more than $2 billion. Just click the Apply Coupons button on the extension at checkout and watch the savings roll in. I've been using Honey every time that I shop online. Honey helped me save on my recent Walmart order by getting me free shipping. If you don't already have Honey, you could straight up be missing out on free savings. It's literally free and it installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid in supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/experiment. That's at joinhoney.com/experiment. Thanks, Honey, for supporting today's episode. Good segue.
I was waiting till we got to Thor because I was like, that's the only one that I can think of that
Has
would have a
portals
portal.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Well, other than Doctor Strange, he does the little,
Yeah, but that's
the
not
little
until, like,
ringy
TA.
thing.
Which it's
They
hilarious
don't make
when
that
you
noise.
Sling rings.
I just love when they do that and you see like the before the CG and they're all just standing there like,
Yeah.
what the hell is this guy doing? All right.
Well, what is
Bifrost.
it? What is it? Scarlet Witch there. What's her name? Brittany Olsen or whatever? Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Olsen. She's always like, everybody's like swinging weapons and shooting guns. And I'm just sitting there going,
Yeah. They're just like makeup gang signs.
like,
So this will probably be our first debate, but my all-time favorite, and I consider it the top of the list, Winter Soldier.
for me, it was until Ragnarok.
Yes.
Up until
it
Ragnarok,
wasn't-
it was my top.
You know what, Dan? We're just gonna
It
put
wasn't-
Winter Soldier and Ragnarok up here. Put them both up here right
Yeah.
now, right at the top.
Because Captain America: Winter Soldier is a fantastic movie.
Oh, yeah.
All
And it's
around.
so standalone, too.
It's just a great movie. It's a good spy movie.
Yeah.
It's a good superhero movie.
Because the next movie
It's a
that
good
we're
action
going is one of my
movie.
favorites.
No, you gotta find Thor. I'm messing with your pile.
No.
You gotta find Thor.
No.
You gotta find Thor Ragnarok.
This is in order. We are not doing that till we get there.
But Dan,
Captain America.
But we agreed they're up there.
Different phase. I think.
No, I think
It is. You're right.
Winter Soldier was fantastic. I think Chris Evans really came into his stride as Captain America. As Steve Rogers. I was going to say
They're
Steve
introduced to
Trevor.
Winter Soldier, but I don't
Damn it,
feel like
Steve
they
Trevor.
overdid it.
No, I think that was a fantastic. Like, if you knew who he was, you knew who it was. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
if you were a comic book fan, okay, you know it's Bucky. It's not like a big shock.
Right.
But the way they did it in the movie,
Yeah.
where you didn't know if it, like if you weren't a comic book fan, you were like, who is this airsoft mask wearing gunman? So it was a little lame, but other than
I
that,
am a little upset that every version of Winter Soldier now is airsoft mask
airsoft
wearing.
mask wearing. Yeah.
It made more sense than he's just like, whatever. I don't even wear a mask.
Right.
But like it leading into the fact that Hydra had actually taken over Shield all those decades ago,
Yeah.
and even Nick Fury didn't know.
Yep.
Which once again, if you'd read like Secret Warriors and stuff, you already knew it was going to happen.
Right.
But the way the movie does it, I think, was fantastic. The action scenes
And
were
I do
great.
like how Winter Soldier rippled into everything else without feeling forced into
Yeah.
it. It was like, oh, Hydra took over. It rippled for
Right.
quite
Yeah,
a
yeah.
few movies.
And then Anthony Mackie was great as Falcon. I thought he
Yeah.
did a really good
Yeah.
job as
Great
Falcon.
introduction
job.
of him,
Yeah,
too.
I thought it
And I
was
love the
good.
way they kind of retconned Falcon to be a part of Steve's whole thing.
Yeah, it
You
made
know?
more sense than
Yeah.
he was a guy with an actual Falcon running around.
That's, for those who don't know, that's actually
Red
He
Wing.
is an
I believe.
actual Falcon.
It's Red
Didn't
Wing.
he go to? Didn't
Yeah,
he get?
yeah.
Didn't he get his abilities like going to an island? And
I don't know, honestly.
It was weird.
It's
He
weird.
he's in an island where he's in a prison where he like they do something to him and then he connects to the birds outside that
And
like
then just
helps
gets
him.
wings.
Yeah,
It's a whole weird
thing.
Now
yeah.
he's a soldier, and it all makes much more sense.
Yeah, I thought this. Honestly, for the longest time, this was my favorite movie, and at this point, it's only slightly hedged out by Ragnarok.
I will say yours.
Sorry, hold on. Before we go on to the next one, the reason why personally I put that a little bit lower was at the time I was not the biggest comic book fan. I think it was even before I joined Comicstorian.
Winter Soldier. 2014. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were,
so it was before I joined Comicstorian, and I kind of put it a little bit lower because of how much I kind of got annoyed with Captain America beating the crap out of Iron Man, and it's like he killed his parents
no, it's
and we're your friends.
You're
thinking
thinking
Civil
Civil
War.
Oh, I'm
War.
thinking Civil War. No,
Yeah,
never mind.
you were working here at that time.
That one I was working, and I did get really annoyed at that. Yeah, actually, Winter Soldier, I can barely remember then.
If you weren't into the MCU at that
So-
time or into comic books,
I
it was
think
one of those
that's-
like, it's a great spy
Yeah.
movie. But I remember a lot of people being like, oh, but it's a superhero movie.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, it's a spy movie and it's great. No,
Yes,
no.
at one point he does put on a costume, but
I feel like actually,
before that,
in that case, I just don't fully
should
really
go
remember
watch
this
it.
one. But
really
based
good.
on that, it's clearly the start of when they did start going into it's this kind of movie with superheroes as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to
yeah. Oh,
it
a
is.
superhero movie because
Yeah.
then we got Ant-Man where it perfected the
which is a heist
formula.
movie, but with superheroes.
Exactly.
Yeah. They started doing in that direction to try and break the mold. They still
Yes.
had the mold, which kind of made things a little stale towards the back half of everything.
Yeah.
But they were starting to break out of it.
All right.
Next movie is Guardians of the Galaxy.
I would put it in good because I thought it was
Oh,
a
yeah, it's
hilarious
fantastic
movie,
movie.
and probably it shifted away from the tone of all the other movies. All the other ones had similar tones in terms
Yeah.
of they were more serious. It was about them trying to like find themselves. And Guardians of the Galaxy kind of broke that mold of just no, goofy people. We're having a comedy, but it's still superhero.
This is a raccoon that talks.
Exactly. Like we got
This is
stuff
a
like
tree that says one thing.
Exactly.
And it's starring Vin Diesel.
It's Vin Diesel. No, yeah. For me, probably my top MCU movies are Ragnarok, Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians 1. 2,
Yeah.
I don't think it was
Two
as
was
good.
okay. It wasn't as good.
Two
I don't-
had moments.
The
Yeah,
problem,
yeah.
yeah, it did. The problem I have with 2 is they tried way too hard to do the baby Groot thing, make it a thing.
Yes.
First of all, that's the best part of that movie. When he's destroying the entire Ravager ship.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like they were.
And it gets angry. Come on.
I think they were trying too hard to make like things a thing in that
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Baby
yeah.
Groot or
Right.
Drax is invisible. And yes, all those became memes, and all the movie was hilarious. But when you rank it amongst the rest of it, I love both movies. But anyway,
Yeah.
Age of Ultron. I thought this was a terrible Avengers movie
So,
Intriguing. Why?
yeah, actually,
Show
I wanna
your
hear
work.
yours first.
because so as you can see from my homework, so this is the beginning of, in my opinion, the idea of we don't need to explain very much about every character. We just need to explain the villain. This began that whole thing of like, we're going to assume you kind of watched all the MCU movies. And
Well, yeah.
But I've always been in the camp of like, they should be good standalone movies. If you were to watch Age of Ultron, you don't know that much about the Avengers. They also kind of shoehorn in Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver because they were trying to get them in there before the X-Men to do that whole thing. They kind of recreated all of Ultron. Even Vision is kind of just thrown in there to just... I felt like Age of Ultron was their attempt to be like, what you said earlier. And here's the next 3 movies of characters. And it was their...
We're adding characters, damn it. All right, we got Quicksilver, Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch, Vision.
Right.
All right, Quicksilver's going to die. Wait, what? Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
And I don't think it's a terrible movie, but I do feel like it's a lot of... So this is a lot like the next Avengers.
Yeah,
And we're going to have Falcon on it. We're going to have Scarlet Witch.
This was the part where they started like, all right, we got to seed the next 6 movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go.
Which to me makes it overall a meh movie because...
Yeah.
And then on top of that, then we had the Ultron. He wasn't Ultron. You know, wasn't Tony Stark made him. He's doing Pinocchio songs. He's conquering an island. Like,
No, he made it an island when it went into space. It wasn't an island prior to that.
but you know what I'm saying?
He was like,
right.
I'm going to cut these borders out and then rocket it up.
I would say this one goes into the meh.
I wouldn't say it's a bad movie, but I would say it's meh.
I would say it was solid. Plus, it also, I feel like it was the first real one where it was like, hey, there's consequences of crashing a giant town
Yes,
back into
definitely.
the ground.
Yeah,
and I felt like it was a pivotal moment in the
We heard about
MCU
Sokovia for
as
so long.
Wait, what?
We heard about Sokovia for so
Yes.
long.
It's like a whole
100%.
other thing. We get it.
But-
Jesus.
I feel like that was just a good turning point movie.
Yeah,
And I
don't-
feel like based on what you were saying of the standalone movie, while I do agree, I actually consider the Avengers to not be in that category. The Avengers I feel like are you clearly are watching this because you know some of the people watch the movies to learn their stuff, because what's the point of going, hey, so we've got all these movies explaining the characters, we're going to spend a portion of this movie explaining them again so that we have to rush through the new characters and the new situation and stuff like that. But instead it gave them just that a bit freedom to go, no, it's Iron Man. He's a man in a suit, Captain America.
Yeah,
like
I
this is
kind
just
of
the
agree
group.
with that because I've heard people say that where they're like, well, you can't just walk in and see like Endgame. Well, why would you?
Yeah.
If you didn't see any of the other MCU movies, why would you go, let's see the one that has end in the title?
Yeah.
And I do agree, and I know I'm in the minority in this thought process, and I do agree. But the problem with that is Endgame is the highest grossing movie.
Right.
There are people who saw that and saw none of the other MCU movies.
Correct.
Okay.
And I agree. You shouldn't.
I'm not sure where he's going.
Yeah,
with this.
My argument is that they don't make good standalone movies, and I don't think Avengers makes a good standalone movie. But I also follow with the argument of they're amazing in continuity with everything else we're
That's
doing.
what I'm saying.
They work.
See, the reason I say that argument doesn't work is, let's say I decided to go see Revenge of the Sith, and it was the only Star Wars movie I'd
Yeah.
ever seen.
Right, but
That wouldn't make any sense.
They do the brief thing of, here's the text
Yeah, at
of
least
what
you give
happened.
me something.
But see, and this is where I think we're losing movies versus shows, because like you wouldn't watch season 4 of your favorite show,
No.
and you probably wouldn't go watch Avengers without
Yeah,
having
that's
knowledge
what
of
I'm-
Avengers,
yeah.
and I agree with that. But cinema does stand out from a series.
Okay.
That people don't always grasp. I mean, we still have people who ask us, why isn't Batman on the Avengers? People don't grasp that this is all tied together.
Okay.
Which makes it kind of like.
That's not
I
our
think
problem.
The last 10, I agree, which is why I still stand by Avengers is still great movies because
Right.
they are great because I do all of this. You know, I read every comic tie-in and watch every 3-minute Thor tie-in.
Right. I think this is one of those ones where I agree that is cinema, but I think that's what made Avengers so great.
was
that
because it was a
broke the
giant
mold.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
broke the mold. It was one of those ones where you're like, hold up, you're saying all these other movies,
something on movies
are
all come
like
together
they're
into one
connected.
endpoint.
Like
That's awesome.
That's just something cool. And the people that go in without seeing the previous ones are kind of the ones that go, I kind of want to see, like, I don't really care about their little side stories. I want to see this massive battle with all the superheroes.
And you're not wrong, but it's a difference between the cinema in the last 10 years and cinema in the last, 80 years before that. It's just, we're transitioning to a different world, and streaming content and stuff is completely changing it again. Because, like, Netflix is putting out, blockbuster movies on Netflix.
Right.
So things are changing. We are getting into an era where we want continuity. We want things linked together. We want
That's like
all
going
of this.
into Fast 5 and being like, who the hell are these people?
Well, exactly. Like,
This is bullshit.
you're not going to watch Fast 9. And
They're like, who are any of these people?
I feel like this is just one of those ones where it's like people like getting invested in something, and we've all had that experience where you watch something, you read something, you play a game, and you're like, that was amazing. Wait, there's nothing else? I want more. And it's like, I feel like that's what makes this kind of formula just work.
Yeah.
Is it makes you go, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next one. Are they going to connect them? What's it going to do? How are they going to use this? And
when I go see a superhero movie, when I see an MCU movie, I go into that with a different mindset than, say, going to see Inception. Or the original Batman before they turned it into a trilogy, before they franchised it again.
Yeah.
Like when you go to see a movie and you get that cinema experience, it's different with the superhero movies. I don't go into these with the exact same mentality. You go into them going, okay, so I watched Hulk, I saw Captain
That doesn't
America.
make them lesser
No,
movies,
I know.
in my
It's
opinion.
a different mentality, a different thing. It's the exact argument that Martin Scorsese had when he said superhero movies aren't movies. I disagree with that as well. I think they fall into a weird spot. I think Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity, or Avengers Endgame are terrible standalone movies. They're amazing parts of this continuity. And I agree, why would you watch them out of continuity? But since we are in cinema, we have to consider it that way.
essentially,
That's how I look at it. Like, it has to be considered as a standalone movie
Yeah.
because it technically is. Endgame Part 2, regardless of its stating, Endgame, Infinity War Part 2 or whatever it was called, is still Avengers Endgame. It is still a standalone movie and should be treated as such because of the medium that it's in.
right. I feel like this,
I
and
disagree.
as well as the phases, they essentially made just really long TV shows that we had season 1, where it was these ones.
Yeah.
Then we had season 2, which was phase 2. And I feel like that's actually
Production
kind of the
values got
direction they
better.
went into.
Yeah.
But I feel you are right that it's not a cinema one, but I also feel like it changed the cinema world to the point that this is now a standard type
100%
of
did.
movie. Yeah.
Fast and the Furious is now a franchise.
with
With
superheroes.
See that one where The Rock pushes aside a nuclear
That's what I was
torpedo?
saying. Like, I do
'Cause
not
if
disagree.
anyone could.
mean,
I do
would
not
be The
disagree
Rock.
that this. We have things like the Dark Universe from Universal.
No,
They
that
want-
didn't happen.
But they wanted to do it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
They wanted to link the Mummy and all these things
yeah.
together. DC came out and said, "Forget that. Let's just go to this."
We're not even doing phase 1. We're going straight to Endgame.
But and I agree. This has changed cinema as a whole, and we're going to need to evaluate how cinema is treated as a whole. Because like Endgame didn't get a single nomination in the Oscars because of looking at it as a standalone movie.
Yeah, it's not.
But if this is now cinema, we need to start evaluating how is that going to be viewed.
Yeah.
I feel
when
like
we
this
get
is a
to-
different comic experiment.
It is.
at
We're
this
going to move
point.
on to a different
Because when we
discussion.
get to the
Yeah.
end game, I feel like that brings up the whole conversation of why do we have part 1 and part 2s of movies? But that's a different thing in itself as well.
I mean, Lord of the Rings started that. But anyway.
Exactly. Well,
You are
Lord
right.
of the
That's a whole different
Rings.
discussion, and we're going to save that for another day
Star Wars.
because we're already at 36 minutes and we are not even halfway through. So
All right.
Ant-Man.
Good.
I loved Ant-Man.
I thought it was great.
I wouldn't
One
put
of
it
my-
above Guardians or Winter
yeah.
Soldier
No,
or
no,
Ragnarok.
no. It's probably in my top.
Definitely not above Ragnarok. That's my top favorite.
I was going to say, Ant-Man is definitely in my top
That
5, I would say.
That
Yeah,
one
fine.
was one of my favorites because it's a heist movie with superheroes.
Yeah, that's exactly
And
what
it was a great way to also like get people that didn't like the superhero movies
Yeah.
to potentially be interested because they're like, oh, it's a heist movie with Paul Rudd. Yeah, I'll watch that. Like,
It was hilarious when it was coming out, though, because my wife is a huge fan of the MCU. She was like, "What's Ant-Man? Who is Ant-Man?" And I was like, "Oh, well, so he can shrink and talk to ants." She's like, "No, really, what's his powers?" I was like, "He could really shrink and talk to ants." And she was like, "We're not saying that. That's gonna be awful." And then it turned into one of her favorite MCU
It's
movies.
amazing.
Yeah,
And,
it's
that
really
little
good.
pet ant that he rides on. I mean, come
Anthony?
on. What was the one in the second movie? Because he renamed it.
Oh yeah, he's like, I think I'm gonna call him Anton or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that.
Because he kept trying to come up with something you could call him with an ant in the name.
Civil War's next, and I actually was not a fan of Civil War. I felt a lot of it was just kind of forced.
Well, they were like, we got to introduce
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Black Panther. I thought it wasn't so much a civil war as like a spat among coworkers at a airport.
But out of all of these movies, I think Civil War is the one where they could have just sat down and resolved the issues.
No, you got to throw your shield at somebody.
That's what I was saying.
My thing, we were watching this recently, and it gets to the airport fight scene, and they're literally like all of them, every single one of them is doing exactly what they said they shouldn't do, and they're it's just property damage and blowing up jets and throwing trucks and like a War Machine is just like hosing down whole planes with his miniguns. It's like
they're fighting giant Ant-Man as he flings people.
Were you guys even paying attention when you were talking about what you shouldn't be doing?
I think the best part of that entire movie, Spider-Man grabbing Winter Soldier's metal arm.
Yeah. You got a metal arm? That's so cool.
That was just one of my favorite parts.
No, the best part of that movie was it introduced the bromance hatred between Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I mean, just like everything
you move
else.
your seat up? No.
Just like everything else in the MCU, I think it's a great movie. But if I got to look for flaws, actual flaws in any actual movie,
this was set up the movie.
This was set up the movie, and it was entirely to counteract Batman v Superman. Because that was announced before this. Remember? So now they're like, oh well, we got to do Iron Man versus Captain America. But this should have been down, like not down to trash. This should have been at the after Endgame. Yeah. Civil War should have been something that we should have gotten in the next whole series of phases. We have so many superheroes that could have been interesting. The conflict could have been, because I mean, as it stands, it almost reminds me of Civil War 2 in the comics, where it's like, if you guys just stop and sit for a moment, this whole thing wouldn't happen.
I mean, that's literally how Civil War 2 ends. Is they're like, Carol, you should have listened to Tony the entire time. He just wanted to say that he didn't trust the person after you, but you punched him into a coma.
To be fair, they were sitting down at one point, and Tony was like, we shouldn't be doing this. And then Steve was like, but if I see something going bad, I'm not going to wait for approval to stop it.
Right. But I feel like...
And then it turned into Bucky.
Also, it should have... Am I the only one that thinks it should have been called Avengers Civil War?
It definitely... it was definitely an Avengers movie.
And that's a series of problems with Civil War. As a whole, the movie's fine. I enjoyed it.
It's got some great action scenes.
It got some great action scenes. The revelation of Winter Soldier affecting Tony Stark's life. That was great.
And then Steve beating the crap out of Tony.
Yeah, it's like... We're friends. He killed my parents.
Exactly.
But Tony was beating the crap out of Steve before that, and then he did his.
It was the whole thing.
This whole day.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I feel like this was a reaction to Batman v Superman, and somebody up high in Disney was like, "Kevin, you need a big versus thing. We can't." Because again, remember at the time, everyone was like, "Batman v Superman." We didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah, we went,
and then we came
Did
out
you
going,
see the title?
Batman v Superman.
Actually, why didn't they just call this Captain America versus Iron Man?
Probably because in Marvel, Civil War is a well-known title. But just like I have the same problem with them, Cassandra Cain and Birds of Prey, I feel like this was wasted using the Civil War title.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
I feel like it should have been an Avengers movie. I feel like Avengers Civil War should have been like the next big Phase 4 or whatever moment. Because now we have a lot of superheroes too.
Exactly. Plus, the problem with calling it Captain America Civil War is you know who the main character is, so you kind of know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was Avengers Civil War, you're like, wait. Who's gonna come out on top? Like, which side's gonna win this kind of thing?
Nobody won.
I am.
Well, Tony didn't win, but nobody won. But if I had to pick a loser, it was Tony.
No one won, but someone definitely lost.
Definitely lost. That person was Iron Man.
It just felt like instead of making a Captain America movie, we got another Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And it was used just like Age of Ultron to set up Black Panther, to set up Spider-Man, to set them all up with kind of a flimsy argument where Tony and Cap should have just sat down for 5 minutes and actually resolved it. And I know they technically did, but it just the whole argument seemed flimsy. Because I felt like it'd be like, Dan, you and I having an argument at work today, and then tomorrow I'm like, so I brought my 5 guys, you brought your 5 guys, and we're gonna fight about it.
That would make inner office politics so much more interesting.
I mean, pretty much, let's be honest, that's kind of how most of our arguments go, because most of the time it's a communication problem that we then go, wait. Are we arguing the exact same point right now?
Andy's been there for those. Andy's like, you guys are, and I've been entertained.
I've been just listening the whole time. I could have broken and explained it to you both, but I decided against it.
Like everyone else in Civil War.
Yeah. I mean, just like everything else in the MCU, I mean, there's no inherently bad movies at all. They've all got redeeming qualities across the board.
Yeah.
Which I also think then turns into a lot of my points are just nitpicks.
Yeah.
Because I need something to nitpick. Otherwise we go, they're all in good.
Yeah.
What order?
Now,
Maybe
what
I should've-
order of good are they?
I should have just went, meh, good, great. That's
Actually,
what I
that
should
probably
have
would have
gone,
worked. Yeah.
All right, Doctor Strange.
I love Doctor Strange. I don't know about like what other people thought of this, but I watched this movie so many times and I thought they did such a great job of bringing magic into the MCU and making it not goofy.
So I actually liked Doctor Strange, but your point of them bringing in magic, I thought was one of the worst points of Doctor Strange. Because instead of him actually being magical, it's sling rings and like artifacts and powers. And that's not Doctor Strange.
I mean,
And he doesn't have a talking cape that doesn't talk and is goofy and a pet.
for the record, there is an entire arc where his only magic is through artifacts, just so you're aware.
That is true.
No, I know.
Jason Aaron wrote it.
And that was, and it's an amazing arc.
Yeah.
But it's not Doctor Strange's character. I mean, this is the guy that crushed an entire planet.
While I agree, I feel like this was one of those ones where it was, they have to make something be the reason that magic exists, because otherwise people go, where was the magic this whole time?
No, and they're gonna do some lame
it's
reasoning
kind of
behind
the-
X-Men. That's why I do
Yeah.
like the movie. I don't like how they introduced magic in it and turned it into artifacts.
Right.
And then they lined the comic books up by having an entire Jason Aaron run where he learns to use artifacts for magic instead of crushing entire planets.
I think this movie's trash, honestly.
Do you?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. He's like, I gotta have one, right? I got you.
It's gonna be one I hate. No, I very much enjoyed Doctor Strange. My only problem with it is it got to the point. This to me is the point where they were like new Marvel characters, but they're all still kind of in the same formula.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm
This
saying?
this one was
He
almost a
starts
classic
off,
origin story again.
He's a goateed asshole, very much like Iron Man. Something
Facial
bad
hair
happens
grows.
to him, very much like Iron Man. And then he gets new powers, very much like Iron Man. And then he fights somebody, very much like Iron Man.
Doctor Strange, he's Magic Iron Man.
You know what I'm saying?
what
Like,
he
it was
is.
enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. And I really liked it. The visual was great.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch was a fantastic Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I thought.
He did great.
Like, everybody was really good. Wong. Awesome.
good.
Wong is great.
Yeah.
one laugh at the
to
end.
me,
I like Dormammu.
Dormammu.
I'm
yeah.
here to bargain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The ending, very cool.
Yeah.
It didn't just end up being a giant CGI fight.
No,
Yeah.
which was great.
Which
I
I
actually
thought
liked
was
that.
good. That was probably the biggest breakaway from a normal MCU
Yeah.
movie.
I liked
but
how
when
they
you
made some
boiled
of
it down
the-
to, this is kind of when Marvel really hammered their formula.
Right.
And it kind of always turns into the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, very enjoyable. I would definitely put it in good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely goes in good. I want to clarify.
I
'cause
liked his
that
magic
Chad's
cape, by the way.
Everyone's freaking out that the cape didn't talk. Okay, the
cape
cape
didn't
talked
talk.
without words. It
It's
was emoting.
communicated.
It was moving. It was responding.
The cape was the best part.
Does
The
your dog not talk to you without words?
No, that'd be weird.
You know what I'm saying,
The cape was just
My
as
cats
adorable
do.
as Baby Groot.
right? And I loved it.
I want Baby Cape.
It gets
It's like
shredded
it
up.
gets shredded. There's like a shivel.
It's actually like the little pocket
yeah,
square.
It's a pocket square.
and
It's a magical pocket square.
I love the cape. I loved what they did.
I
with
don't know.
I'm
It
just
sounds
saying,
like you're bitching about the
Yeah.
cape.
I just didn't like how they
don't
introduced
know.
magic. I wish they. I think it would have been cooler if it was almost like Harry Potter. The Muggles didn't know about
You're a
it.
wizard, Benedict.
You're a wizard, Mr. Strange.
I did like that they kind of used the Inception
That would've been pretty
multiverse
funny, yeah.
kind of thing.
I
or
did
the
like that.
Inception
Yeah, I like
plane
that.
to
Yeah. The
explain,
Mirrorverse.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
fight without
Yeah.
people seeing it. I thought it was-
Without seeing people seeing a bunch of
I'm
wizards
just saying
running
they could have
around.
they could have done a much. I think they could have done a better job of introducing magic. If they wanted to go the artifact route, that's fine. It worked. Obviously, it worked. It's still a great movie.
And then Hagrid shows up, brings him to the ancient one.
An owl brings his mail. Why didn't they use that as an Easter egg? Just like, it's like, where's my mail?
He's like talking to the ancient one, and then an owl flies in, drops a letter. Oh, it's mail time. Good.
You're the wizard supreme, Mr. Strange. That's just going off channel now, and I gotta give them credit. But that was my only nitpick with that one. Just the way they introduced magic. I feel like it's gonna be a lame excuse, like how we're probably gonna get the X-Men of like, oh, no one knew they existed, but they've been around since
It'll
before
be the
time.
multiverse.
I mean, that's pretty much what,
Multiverse.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's a footnote because you just got to get it in there in a hurry. You know,
Just jamming it.
that's basically it.
He's gonna go, oh no, I accidentally left a portal open in the ocean and an island appeared. It's so weird. Anyway,
No,
here's
it's
an X-Men movie.
Namor's gonna pop his head out and go, "You guys know there's like a weird island on here."
By the way, I'm a mutant.
By the way, I'm a mutant. See you later.
I'm the
He
first
just-
mutant.
He just descends.
And when
What
they
the
do,
hell?
if they ever bring Namor in, that Cap's gonna go, we fought in World War II together. I never mentioned you
with
before.
that guy, the Human Torch, who's very similar to this other 4 people over here.
I think the way they did that, so
they're
we can move on
rebooting
past
again.
it.
Yeah, I know.
I think the way they did it, and the way they're probably going to do the X-Men, and it actually works very well for the MCU as a whole, where they don't try to retroactively put stuff
No,
in.
yeah.
I do like that they, for the people who don't read comics like we do.
They're like, oh, it's cool. We have our actual timeline for the
Yeah, and they're doing,
movies,
and
yeah.
I like that. I do.
Yeah.
I think there could have been more fun ways to do it, but it all worked. I think the movie was great. Guardians 2, Baby Groot makes the movie work entirely.
Baby Groot and Drax.
Yeah.
I think those are the
I didn't like
selling
Drax in
points.
this movie, honestly. I thought they went
Oh,
way
wait.
too hard into the goofy Drax.
Yes, I
Who's
will
like,
actually
"My
agree with
nipples!"
that.
Like, I was like,
There was a
where the hell
little
did that
too
come
much.
from? Yeah,
there were
they
some
went-
good moments, but yeah.
But he
I'll
went
actually-
too much in the other direction, I feel.
I'd say I definitely put it around Avengers
I think
1.
we just put everything up on good at this point. Just say what they are and put them up there.
We've already discussed about Guardians 2 when we got to Guardians 1, though, so I don't
That
think
is
I have much more to
true,
say.
yeah.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
All right, let's hear your bitching.
No, Far From Home's the one I don't like. I like
Oh,
Homecoming,
okay.
actually.
I loved Far From Home because they took me to London. It was great.
No, I actually
didn't have
really
to
liked
pay for
Homecoming.
anything.
Yeah.
Because you could tell that they were like, okay, what hasn't been done in a Spider-Man movie? Like,
Do
when
we
he-
have to do his origin? No. Awesome.
Plus, hot Aunt May.
hot
let's-
May.
let's be honest.
Like running through the park. Like, how does Spider-Man get to the park? Oh, he's running. He's running to the park.
No.
I thought Homecoming was great. I actually loved the way they brought Tony Stark in with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was
do
a very
feel-
interesting way to do
Yeah,
it.
I thought it was a really interesting way. Far From Home, I've got the complaints of the Tony Stark him relationship because it's becoming. I mean, he's literally
never shows up.
he's literally becoming Tony Stark now.
No,
Yeah.
he says it in the movie. Happy's like, you're not going to be the next Tony.
You mean-
And then literally,
he literally does
he
Tony
does
Stark.
becomes Tony. He does Tony Stark.
He did. He does the hand in the glove,
Yeah,
which is
like,
literally the first
literally,
thing.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that we'll get to Far From Home when we get there.
we'll-
I think
Okay.
Homecoming is great.
Yes.
I don't think
I
it's-
thought it was a great way to introduce or to actually make a Spider-Man movie in the MCU.
Yes.
After he's already been introduced, pretty much everybody already knows Spider-Man's origin.
and established that he's been around too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like he just got his powers.
here.
I would say it goes
Little
around
higher.
the Guardians 2 Avengers era. I don't think it's as good as like.
No,
Ant-Man
I wouldn't put it
Cap,
up that
you know,
way,
that-
yeah.
I thought it was a great way because it was a great movie to really set it apart from the other Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
You, at no point did
It didn't feel like the other Spider-Man.
exactly.
Yeah.
You weren't like, well, Tobey Maguire did that. Too.
Yeah, yeah,
Like what's different here? No, it felt different.
It's a
It
good thing
felt
they didn't do like
well-placed.
Octopus or
Yeah.
or Green Goblin or something like that.
Do you mean Doc Ock?
Yeah.
I prefer
Octopus.
Octopus.
I like
I
that.
said the octopus.
It's
whatever.
Octopus.
Octopus again.
But yeah, I'm glad they didn't pick one of the older villains
Yeah.
to redo again.
Vulture was great. I've never.
Vulture was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Pretty
All
sure
right.
it was just Batman.
Thor Ragnarok.
Just at the top.
You know what?
Best.
I have that and Winter Soldier my two favorite, but it's also a mood thing. Comedy, spy movie.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
are so different. You can
I-
have them.
I
both.
Thor
think-
Ragnarok is one of my all-time favorites. Not even just MCU favorites.
it's a
It's
really
probably
good
just
movie.
one of my all-time
Chris
favorites.
Hemsworth is amazing. He's my other man crush, other than Henry Cavill.
That's fair.
I like they pretty much did Planet Hulk without doing Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. Like the fight between them, the interactions, the comedy, the action. I thought it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And you can also tell the actress had so much fun with that
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
Because he was done. And he's like, I'll come back. If we're doing that again,
Yeah.
I'm on board.
That's pretty much what it was. Yeah.
I liked. I like that
It's
it
not
was.
like it's not like Chris Helmsworth can't get work.
The dude's begging for work at this point. Like he's got nothing going on. It's true.
I thought it was.
There's a Man in Black.
I liked that it was Planet
a terrible
Hulk, but
MCU
it wasn't
movie.
Planet Hulk because if we got Planet Hulk, World War Hulk would just break the MCU.
That would be an. That would
It
be.
would have
that
been
would
an
break
amazing.
Endgame.
phase.
It would have been an amazing movie. It would have been fantastic, but in the MCU, it just would
It
not
wouldn't
have
work.
worked.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I felt like the way that they went with Thor, it worked because it also we've had moments where it's like Thor can depower a little bit.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
his
yeah.
his is
Technically,
fluctuating.
he
and-
up power in this one
exactly
by the
And-
end.
Exactly. If you get rid of your eye, you get more power.
Yeah.
if you
He
weren't
raided
aware.
the bridge.
Don't actually take that seriously. I do not want any complaints.
The way
about
to actually
your
get more
eye.
power is you just play Led Zeppelin.
I mean, let's be honest. Have you ever listened to Led Zeppelin and
And
not
not
gotten
gain more
like
power?
hyped?
I mean, it's funny
mean-
because if we actually look at the MCU, a lot of the MCU movies kicked off trends in movies.
Yeah.
The 80s thing got huge after Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
did.
yeah.
I mean, it was already on its way up with Stranger Things. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
yeah,
that
yeah.
came out around the same time frame, which is what Thor took it from.
I think it came out before technically.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was in that same couple year time
Yeah,
frame
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. But it definitely helped make like, okay, we're doing a bunch of like 80s nostalgia to the point where we had Wonder Woman 1984 for no reason other than we need an 80s movie because they did that in the MCU.
Fanny packs.
Which brings us to Black Panther.
Yes.
Which I think is the best. I think it's the best origin movie in the MCU.
I would agree.
I
with
would
that.
say that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because-
Although it's
It's not really, but
it's
it
not
is.
really an origin story, but it is an origin story at the same point.
I think that's why it's so good though, because it's not really I would put it just beneath my favorites.
Yeah.
Only because at the end of the day, it's still an origin story.
yeah.
But it showed a totally different side of the MCU.
Yeah.
Totally different nation, totally different customs, everything.
Yeah.
We got to see an origin story, but when he already had the powers. Like, we didn't have to go into, we got to give him the suit and have a training montage. No. He's Black Panther. How did he get there? Let's explain that because of his brother. You know what I mean? Like,
Plus, it was great because excluding space, it was the first one that was not this is an American superhero.
Yeah.
Like it was the first, because I mean, obviously, even space, we've got the guy that's from
It's essentially Captain America in space.
exactly,
Yeah.
and like I felt like this was great because it made the MCU expand more and go, there's more out there.
Yeah,
like there
I think that's
is
great.
more out there. You don't know about it, and very clearly, something this big can be hidden from the world.
Right.
What else can't be?
I'd say
That's what I'm hoping for.
my only nitpick on this one was the last fight because it just turned into two CG guys
Fighting.
slamming each other into
Plus,
other
they killed
CGI
him.
stuff.
Yeah.
That was, I think, Black
And
Panther
killing him was not good either.
I think Black Panther was one of those ones where it kind of really solidified how much we all hated that they were killing off great villains.
Killmonger was amazing.
He was fantastic.
Now we just got M'Baku and Shuri, so I don't know how that's gonna go.
There's theories that they're going to bring back Killmonger.
I hope I think that would be really cool.
I think
he was
I think,
great.
I think you could tell a really good redemption story of him becoming Black Panther.
Yeah.
because that was like his whole thing he wanted. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he wanted to rule Wakanda and
But what
help
I'm saying,
take
but
over the
you-
world.
All right.
I
But
think
yes.
you could tell.
Here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna have fallen off that cliff where he was. He's gonna have be moved somehow to those flowers that are the
I
ones
see,
that give
yeah,
him.
yeah. They
and
find
then
a
he's gonna,
different grove.
I mean, they-
exactly.
They literally killed off Black Panther in the movie and then brought him back with M'Baku's tribe. So
He wasn't dead.
But you know
and
what I'm
then they
saying.
put him in the snow, which helps you not die. Everybody knows that.
it's
Everybody knows
interesting what they're going to do with Black Panther 2 by not replacing.
that. Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Which I'm glad they're not,
I
Yeah,
am
no,
too.
I am too.
I think that would have been a terrible idea.
as opposed to Rhodey.
And I also
I mean, that was a
Well, he
different.
didn't
That was a
die.
different-
It was a different
He
situation.
didn't
It was
die.
still just one of those ones that I remember when it came out. I was like, "That's not the same guy."
I think either story could be interesting though. How Shuri takes over and
Yes.
dealing
Yeah,
with the loss of her brother, or Killmonger coming back and having to actually be a real leader. you
that's
know?
going to be what it is. It's going to be both of them coming back and deciding which of the two deserves the title.
Killmonger ends up being
And then
the bad guy
M'Baku's going to be
again.
in the background, just being like, "And I'm still here too." M'Baku.
Oh, those guys were great. All right.
That brings us to Infinity War.
I don't know where to put it.
No.
I think it's good.
I liked it. It had moments, but there are other movies in here I would definitely watch
Of
before I rewatch
of my
this one.
complaints of it not being standalone, I think Infinity War is the most egregious of that. Because at least in Endgame, there was the whole time travel segment, and we got to know the characters again if you didn't know them. So it did have its own standalone movie elements.
Okay.
So because of that, I would say Infinity War is kind of right above that. It's not bad by any means, but
Plus, everybody gets like a minute and a half of screen time.
They're like,
And-
how many people do we have? Okay, if we give each of them 2 minutes, okay, that's a 3-hour film.
and plus we get the this is my friend. He's a tree.
I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Also a great moment. Also a fantastic
Have you met my
moment.
friend Tree?
You should have gone for the head.
Which brings us to Ant-Man and Wasp, which I also I'd say it's right here about
You would put here?
Yeah, about Spider-Man
you put it?
Homecoming and stuff.
Yeah, I'd say around there.
Wasn't bad. I liked the character of Ghost, the reinvention, because
Yeah.
Ghost was nothing important in the comic book.
Yeah,
so
I thought
that
that
was
I like
good.
Evangeline Lilly.
yeah.
personally.
I liked Wasp. Wasp was really cool the way they did
Yeah.
that, the way they brought
Is
back
that the actress?
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Because isn't it that point? Yeah, because he was in the quantum realm, wasn't
She's
Yeah.
pretty.
he? He was lost.
No,
And then we had the best,
He
without
wasn't
a doubt, my
at the end of the
favorite-
movie is when he gets lost in the.
Oh,
quantum
yeah,
realm.
right.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this is when Paul Rudd is acting as the wife. when like he goes in and they try like he goes into the quantum realm to see if they can do it.
Yeah.
And then he pseudo connects with the
She's,
wife,
like,
the
mentally
mother,
connects with it. Yeah,
and
yeah,
and he like becomes her and he's like, oh my gosh, honey.
Yeah,
Like it's been
yeah.
so long. And that was just one of my favorite Paul Rudd moments of all time.
I liked the argument with him and Giant Man over who can get bigger.
That too, yeah.
75 feet. I thought this was very enjoyable. It was definitely like a sequel that was just going to bridge us to to Endgame. Though.
It's my same complaint with as much as I loved it and had its moments. Same complaint with like Civil War. Same complaint with like Infinity War. Like
it's a bridging movie.
Yeah,
and
to get us to the next point.
Yeah.
Which once again, why cinema's changed. This is. I wouldn't call it trash. I have my complaints about Captain Marvel, and none of them are like the political aspect.
No,
of it.
yeah. I just
Half above, okay?
My two biggest, I'd put it down there definitely.
Yeah.
My biggest two complaints is one, it's a classic MCU origin story.
Yeah.
Which at this point we don't even want. Like
it felt very much like one of the first MCU movies.
Right, and I guess that's what they were going for. And my other complaint is she's very much just a cardboard cutout of I am very much brash. I'm in charge. And it's not even her. You can tell Brie Larson can act based on other movies.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely the direction they wanted.
Yeah.
You're unfaltering. Nothing will ever, you will never be changed.
Yeah.
You're going to be always courageous. And you can tell that was the direction they wanted to go in. But at the end of the day, it's like she doesn't change at all. She starts out cocky. She ends cocky.
Cockier.
She's essentially Captain America if it started right after he had Soldier Serum.
Yeah.
And like
Kinda,
stayed-
yeah.
Yeah, she was
And
just
like I said-
always that army person or Air Force.
This isn't Brie Larson's first movie. So she can act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that was the direction they wanted to go in. It's a classic origin movie. It's very paint by numbers. They revealed the eyeball thing to be a cat, which wasn't a flarkin. I'm sorry.
That's a flarkin?
But also that was
happens
just
to
one of
look
those
like a
like,
cat.
really? That's going to be the eyeball?
Yeah.
I felt like that was another one of those movies where it brings up the problem of doing something
Like a
in the
prequel.
past. Exactly,
Like a prequel
something in the
movie,
past after you've established so much, because you have to go, okay, we've got this incredibly powerful person. How do we put her in the universe without
she's
making
never
it like
showed up before.
without her showing up and without it being like, man, it would have been nice to have her in any of these situations.
I also feel like there was a portion of this where they were trying to recreate the success of Ragnarok's 80s theming.
Yeah.
Because this was the 90s theming. Remember, they were trying
Yeah.
that real hard.
Yeah.
I don't think it worked anywhere near
No,
as
I don't
good.
think so. Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible movie. It was an okay movie. It would be very meh for me.
I'm putting on the lower end of meh.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
trash.
I mean,
Lower
I'll
meh.
say it again. I don't consider any MCU movie like a bad movie. There's no movie on this list that I would look at you and be like, why are you watching that?
The only
Like,
reason it's close to trash is because that's the only word I put there.
That brings us to Endgame. I would consider it up here only because if you've watched all these,
Yes.
it's incredible.
And if you haven't, why did you start with a thing called Endgame?
I agree with that as well. I do agree with that.
Well, there's no beginning game, so I must. There's no start game.
But this movie also corrected my complaints with Infinity War, where it did do a great job of establishing each of the characters. They all had their little moment to shine. They all did something.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of breathing room for Cap, Iron Man, Hulk.
Right,
They
it
all got
closed
to
out
do-
a lot of those arcs that they've
Yeah.
been doing over the whole MCU.
Yeah.
So instead of having only be the fight, which is kind of what Infinity War really boils down to, just they pretty much just get to the fight as quick as possible. This one gave you almost like a movie in front of the fight.
Yeah.
And then they open the portals, and it's all these characters that maybe you don't know much about, but you don't need to, because plot-wise, they weren't here.
Right.
They're here for the fight.
Yeah.
And they're on your left.
It's me every time.
I feel like in Endgame there were a couple of moments that felt forced.
Like
For-
America's butt.
That was
Stuff
your favorite
like that,
line. You kept
well-
coming out and talking about it. Did you guys see that butt? That's
I mean,
America's
to be
butt.
fair. No, I'm talking more like, and I'm not making a stab at it, the like women power thing. I felt like there were other moments where it could have been a lot more
Organic?
organic,
I mean,
natural, but not just
That one was
all of
definitely
a sudden.
forced.
Wait,
That was
what?
100% forced.
Not only
Yeah.
was it forced, the editing didn't even make sense, because half of those
Yeah.
people were
Weren't
on
there.
the other side.
Yeah.
They're across the battlefield.
Exactly.
I think Wasp was the best one. She's like literally over with Ant-Man, and then it's like, and she's here.
Yeah.
They were having a huddle on the other side of the. All right, everybody. All right. Here's what
Like
we're gonna do.
because I loved. Don't get me wrong. I loved the moment. I thought it was a great moment. It just was not organic and just kind
Yeah.
of felt a little.
Girl power.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I loved it because all those characters are great. They're
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah. They did need that moment to shine. Maybe make it a little more organic.
Yeah.
At least have them in the area.
They're all yelling at each other, "We're here!" Instead of like,
Meet me at the part with the guy that died. He's got half a head. Yeah? Spider-Man's almost dead over here. Hurry up.
Captain Marvel picks everyone up, maybe, you know, like.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. We're gonna have a moment. Let's go.
Which brings us to Far From Home.
Who's with their buddy for the fight?
Everybody got their pals.
Everybody's got hands. All right, here we go.
Far From Home. I don't think it's a terrible. I don't think any of these are terrible movies.
No.
This hammers in that they kind of want to make Spider-Man the headline guy of the MCU, which made it so much worse that immediately after this, we almost lost Spider-Man from the MCU.
This was them going, okay, we've got the character that sells like nobody's business finally. Let's take advantage of that. Oh, crap, he's gone. Oh, crap, what did we do?
But it almost felt like instead of making another headline guy that is Spider-Man and Spider-Man, it's like, well, what if we make him like Tony Stark Jr.?
Yeah, and call him Spider Monkey.
Yeah.
Night Monkey.
Night Monkey, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike this, but I felt like it the same way I felt about Iron Man 3. It became this very finite like epilogue to that was the epilogue to Avengers, Iron Man 3.
Oh, yeah.
And Far From Home was just an epilogue to Endgame. Like they were even promoting it as that. Like Phase 4 isn't over until Spider-Man.
I'm thinking here.
Well, I don't think.
Actually, a little bit higher because they were really nice to me when they sent me there.
See, I disagree with that, actually. I don't think that this movie is. We're trying to make Peter Parker the next Tony Stark the headline of the thing. I think this movie was like. We're because in the MCU, Tony was so big to Peter Parker. It is an epilogue. It's almost a
Homage?
I would say like a eulogy to Tony Stark.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're not. It's not like okay, this is it. Peter's the next big guy in the MCU. It's more like Tony Stark actually meant something to Peter. He doesn't know if he should be a hero anymore. Right. He doesn't know if he can be. He knows he's never going to be able to live up to Tony Stark, who he looked up to in the MCU.
Yeah.
So that to me is what it feels like.
Actually, that's a great point because it also kind of gave us the first moment of this is the second generation of heroes. This is what they're getting from their idols.
Because at no point does like Nick Fury show up and go, and by the way, I'm going to need you to put together the next Avengers initiative. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And then you just Tom Holland going, what?
Wait, what? What? You know, and then you had stuff like Quentin Beck, who Jake Gyllenhaal was fantastic as
so
a
good.
hero,
Just like with Vulture
turned villain.
We've gotten so many Dr. Ock, so many no
Yeah.
Venom really. I mean, I don't really count. What's it, Topher Grace? That
I
Venom.
thought you were going to say Tom Hardy. I was like, I'll leap across this table, punch him in the
that
face.
one was good. Topher.
Mysterio
He was a little skinny for an Eddie Brock. He was going to say.
It was pre-workout.
No, they gave him fangs. It worked.
Yeah, just like in real life.
Hi, I'm here, Toby.
They were like vampire fangs from like Halloween. The spirit of Halloween. But no, that's how I would say. Because if you watch the movie, at no point do they say like Peter Parker is going to be the next big thing. It's just Peter trying to come to terms with the fact that this guy who kind of set him up as a superhero in this world is now gone.
It felt like they're pushing. It felt almost like they were going, okay, we're going to go in the Parker Industries direction.
That's what it felt more like to me.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're going to know when it goes forward. Just
Sure,
as it
obviously.
stands right now,
We
to
need
me,
someone
it
to
felt
fund
like,
stuff.
Yeah,
Because let's be honest, we kind of don't have funding for anything or anyone at this point.
That's true.
In the things we don't have.
Well, we don't have S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore because they're still not reassembled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone. They've been gone since Civil War. Not Civil War.
Swim around here. Hold on.
This was Civil War. That's Civil War.
Yeah, no, it's Winter Soldier.
It's this one. It's
Winter
this
Soldier.
one. Yeah. Let's flip that one
Ultron.
over.
No, Winter Soldier movie discovered
Okay.
that S.H.I.E.L.D. was being taken over by Hydra.
That's right.
Parts of S.H.I.E.L.D. show back up in Age of Ultron, though.
They return.
Yeah.
I don't freaking know.
So I would put it probably just above Mad. Under Homecoming, under Guardians 2, definitely. I definitely enjoyed it. I do enjoy Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I do love the fact they're using Vulture, they're using Mysterio. We're not getting rehashed villains. We're not getting the big headliners. There's not another Green Goblin already. You know, like
Yet.
Oh, they're definitely going to be. This is definitely going to get there.
Give me the Green Goblin and turn him into the Red Goblin, and I will watch that.
Oh no! If we're merging over with Venom, we already got Carnage, and we can get to that. Like we can.
Exactly.
So I mean, I'm on board with that. I don't like. their version of Flash Thompson, I don't foresee becoming Agent Venom, but hey, we'll see.
No, I think we talked about that when the movie came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, like why even use Flash Thompson? You just make another bully. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
However, I mean, as we've seen from some other actors, they can get in shape to the point that you're like, okay, that's.
I don't even
freaking
mean
Flash
like
Thompson.
that. I just mean his overall attitude.
Yeah.
While he's a bully, he doesn't have the same kind of attitude that led Flash Thompson to join the military and then become a hero, that sort of thing.
If they do, I would not be surprised if it was based on the way that they did the character.
Come on, you can do it.
That
I was debating doing a joke of Venom.
No, you weren't. You
you
just
couldn't
was.
almost
I was
misspell
gonna
it.
do double
You
O's.
almost
What you don't
misspelled
see is
it.
Ben starting to write Venom and forgot how to spell it
they
about
saw
halfway
it.
through.
Don't worry, they
'cause
saw it.
I was
It's on
debating
camera.
doing 2 O's or going Venom.
I would not be surprised if they do go in the Agent Venom direction, that they did it in he leaves because of his rich parents. Either they force him to leave or he feels like he needs to.
I mean, I could see that he
earns
Yeah, I
his
could see
place
that
in the
because then
world.
also he is a huge Spider-Man fan.
Exactly.
So he's like, oh, maybe I should step up and I'll join the military.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
I can see that.
I've gone through my whole life being a bully, parents paying for
Kinda
everything,
pampered, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
You
can
know
see
what?
that.
I need to earn my own.
Yeah,
They
when you
go
say it like
take
that,
him
I
there.
could see that. Yeah.
Which would be awesome because I would love to watch that origin and see him become Agent Venom.
Now you're just adding things. We're
Yeah,
already
no.
over an hour.
I know we're done.
Stop.
We're done. I'm just adding extra movies that really deserve to be
That's
mentioned.
probably
Okay,
like
yeah.
the best
No,
one.
This
in my
was
opinion.
fan freaking tastic.
Yeah.
That movie's so good.
We're just gonna, there we
With
go.
Wolverine and Espanol.
We're gonna put it up there. I'm just adding other good
just
movies.
so we're clear, when I went and saw Old Man Logan and the part where Laura is yelling at Logan in Spanish, I looked to my Spanish-speaking wife and I went, that's what it's like for me. Because she's Laura's just, and he's like, I don't understand you. I don't understand you.
Yeah.
I thought Old Man Logan was also one of those ones where it was a great adaptation to make it work for
For
universe.
the X-Men universe.
Oh,
yeah,
which
definitely.
Actually, that would be cool if when they do the multiverse madness, if like they
Old Man Logan shows up.
well, no, if they like start eventually doing the X-Men and having them being stolen to get the DNA for the labs that they're
can see that,
creating.
yeah.
This one's technically in the MCU at this point.
Sort of, yeah.
Yes-ish. I mean, that's pretty low for Deadpool, but okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're just kind of adding them
That'd
in
be
there
up
at the end of the
there.
show.
That'd be up there, yeah.
For the record, guys, this is why I wrote the tags.
Why?
What is this? I don't even. Are those D's? They look like D's. Little sixes.
Double D's.
Anyway, guys, this has
Thanks
been
for
Comics
watching.
Experiment, where pretty much every MCU movie is meh or above.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah.
The only ones that we have ranked meh or below are Ultron, Thor 2, Thor 1, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man 3. We got 5 movies that none of them got the trash. None of them are unwatchable.
To me, none of them are
No,
unwatchable.
none of them are unwatchable.
I mean, hell, even the I know it's not MCU, but the Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff, I would put that
The Hoff?
probably up here.
well, that's just because you get the Hoff.
exactly.
You got the
That's so
Hoff
good.
in there.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's a little bit longer than usual, but hey, it's the MCU.
Just
Next
a
time
little.
we'll be doing the TV shows, going through that lineup.
We should also rank all of the old Marvel movies. Anything outside the
kinda like
MCU.
that.
We should
All the
do that.
old-
That'll be the next episode. All Marvel movies outside of the MCU.
Outside of
From
the
the
MCU.
90s onward. Fantastic Four unreleased, Ghost Rider both with Nick Cage.
Punisher with Dolph Lundgren when he lives in a sewer. For some reason.
X-Men, aka a bunch of people in leather bondage fighting.
Got Daredevil with
Ben Affleck.
Does
and
anyone-
Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember Elektra?
yes.
Unfortunately.
Fun fact: Zack Snyder said that if he ever comes to the MCU, the project that will make him come is an Elektra story by Grant Morrison.
What an odd way to say
Blade?
that sentence.
Blade 2, Blade Trinity.
I'm just saying.
I read it for an article for Absolute Comics, which, by the way, Tuesdays at twitch.tv/Comicstorian.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We phone these live at Thursdays at about 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. You can catch it live with other shows, including a comic book review show and our D&D show. Don't forget, if you want to support it, please consider going to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, or going to our G Fuel code, G Fuel, and use the code comics at checkout,
I talked weird.
or in our current sponsor for today's episode, an actual sponsor that Dan and I use frequently, and we are huge fans of. What is it, Dan?
It is Honey, where you can go to joinhoney.com/experiment to download Honey for free.
Yes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time right here at the Comics Experiment.